For joining us today at Brothers of the Word, because, brother, you need the Word. And today, actually, a lot of people have been waiting on the second half of when I talked about the greatest or the ultimate biohack. And a biohack was when we attended last month the Biohacking Conference. And this is a conference of really a lot of heavy-duty, cutting-edge scientific stuff that had all kind of devices and all kind of medications and all kind of doctors and all of this latest science on how to hack the body and how to take health and mental sharpness to a whole new level. And we stayed at this conference for 3 days, myself, my son Josie's, and Pastor Salters. We stayed there for 3 days listening to all of these scientists just tell us about all of the latest development of how to take your mind, your body, and your spirit to the next level. And I preached a few weeks ago the message simply called the ultimate biohack. And it was this one technique that they said that made more difference than virtually all of that equipment, all of that fancy stuff that just changed the world. You have to go and listen to the sermon, you hear it. And I said I was going to tell you about another one, but it's been so much stuff in between that I'm just getting a chance to tell you about that now. And first of all, I want to tell you about this message. To get the true benefit of this message, you're going to have to listen to it at least 3 times. You'll have to listen to it at least 3 times. It's a lot of stuff. I'm going to go over it real quick. So you'll have to go back and you'll have to listen to it 3 times. But as we heard this, all 3 of us sat there and said, oh my goodness, there was no scripture used in this, but it's like Jesus himself said it. All of this stuff lines right up with everything Jesus taught. So I'm going to talk to you today from the subject of the prayer hack. And this will be sermon. You can go to brothersoftheword.com and you can listen to the sermon, watch it absolutely free of charge, or send it to a friend, because you're going to need to hear this at least 3 times. It's sermon number 5933, 5933. Why you say niner? A lot of times people hear me say niner. From when I used to fly a plane. And sometimes you don't understand why people say stuff. You say 9 in normal conversation, but if you're flying a plane, if you're in the military, you say niner, because 9 and 5 sounds just alike if they're static present. And you say, that don't, yes it does. If you have a bad connection, 9 and 5, you can't tell the difference between the two. So anyone you hear who flies a plane or in the military, they'll never say 9, they'll say niner. So it's sermon number 5933. We were here in this conference, and the speaker began talking, and he said, first of all, I realize, we've got social distancing going on, but I want you to just touch the back of the person next to you. And all of us had tests, so we were all negative of the virus. We all knew. He said, I want you to touch the back of the person next to you. So they had these round tables, and there were 3,000 people in the room, and everybody put their hand on the back of the person. And he said, now I want you to bend over, and I want you to smell the person that you're touching. So I said, my goodness, that was unusual. So that's what everybody just bent over, and they just smelled the person that they were touching. And he said, now I want you to think about what you smell. He said, because most of the people in here, you all smell real good. And he said, when I normally ask this question of the audience, what did they smell? They'll say, oh, they smell perfume, and they smell cologne, and they smell lavender, and they smell shampoo, and they smell all these nice smells. He said, but do you realize 100 years ago, all of y'all would have stunk? Because 100 years ago, most people only took a bath every 3 or 4 weeks because they didn't have running water on the inside. So, that phrase of where you got don't throw the baby out with the bath water, that came because folk would take a bath so seldom, the water would be just all muddy. And sometimes the baby, you couldn't even see the baby because we didn't bathe very much back then. But now, virtually everyone in the U.S. will take a shower at least every 2 days. So we take baths and we take showers. And he said, look, everybody smell good. And we will take a shower virtually daily. But very few people in America cleanse their mind every day. We cleanse our bodies, but we don't go through a regimen that cleanses our minds. And we'll go through day by day by day, and all of this stink and all of this filthiness and all of this bad stuff gets in our mind. We don't take the time to wash and to cleanse our mind. And he says meditation and prayer is what you use to cleanse your mind. Now, meditation and prayer for all, it's different for different people. Religious people will use the word prayer. Non-secular religious people will use the word meditation, but they're very similar. It's your communication with God, bringing peace within yourself. Different people, just like different folk, pray differently. You know, some people pray and they hacking and moving and all kinds. Other folk just sitting there just as quiet. Prayer is different. So meditation and prayer, they're very, very similar. With a lot of people, they're the same thing, and different people have different methods. He said, I'm gonna teach you today what he calls the ultimate prayer hack. And he said they've done studies on this of when they've taken monks, you know, those who are in the monastery, and all they do is pray and sing all day. They take vows of silence. They take vows of celibacy. They spend all this time in prayer, and they're all holy and do all this holy stuff. He said, and what we found is you can increase your in tune with God and your peace 8 times faster with these 6 techniques than the monks who spend all that time and all that holiness and all that consecration. So I'm going to tell you today what he taught us just in terms of the ultimate prayer hack, but I will tell you that the ultimate prayer hack is nothing you haven't heard preached here already. It's just scientifically validated and correlated and put into a system. And he said, all you need to do is spend 15 minutes a day. If you spend 15 minutes doing these 6 things every morning, it washes your spirit. And he said, I have taught athletes in every major sports team in the U.S. this. And they win. And because their minds are clean, they perform better. How many of you all want to just perform better? Sometimes when your mind is cleaner, it's not sometimes, when your mind is cleaner, when your spirit is purer, you get a chance to perform better. First of all, there are 6 needs that humans basically have. And these 6 needs, the need of feeling of being loved and loving others. That's the first need. You need to love and you need to feel love. It ain't just about giving love. You need to feel love. You need to feel that somebody loves me. And you need to love. So love is the number 1 need. Number 2, gratitude. Number 3, happiness. Number 4, peace. Number 5, a vision for your future. And number 6, self-determination. And finally, a feeling of being supported. Now, the first, actually, happiness and peace are really one. The first 3 deal with the present, what is going on right now. The last 3 deal with the future. And those 6 needs, they're represented by 6 actions. And it's these 6 actions that you focus on and do while you are praying. And I started incorporating it into my prayer, particularly my morning prayer. And I feel just better. I feel cleansed. I have a focus. I have a structure of how I pray. Just like Jesus gave you, he gave you a sample prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven. You start by acknowledging God and in your daily bread, which is your sustenance, your work. Then you forgive others. All that. So Jesus gave you a pattern that's very similar to this. This is just a little bit more detailed. And with those 6 needs that we have, there are these 6 traits or things that you go through and focus on during your prayer that will take your praying to a whole new level. And you just spend 2.5 minutes on each one of them, and then in 15 minutes you're finished. How many of us got 15 minutes a day for God? I mean, and that may sound like a short period of time, but most folks don't spend 15 minutes a day in prayer. They just don't spend 15 minutes. Sometimes we don't even know how to pray, don't want to know what to do. So this will give some people just a rough template of what to focus on and what to do. Now, the first one is what he called compassion. Compassion. It deals with that need of being loved and loving others. And when you have compassion, it changes you and it moves you from judgment to caring. It moves you from isolation to inclusion, and you start seeing other folk differently when you have compassion. And basically the way he said you do it is when you start your prayer, you first of all put in your mind somebody that you really, really love. If you don't even have somebody, something that you really, really, some of y'all just love your dog more than anybody. You just do. Them dogs just be, because dog is just, some folk got a dog, some folk got a cat, some folk got some birds, some folk got a snake. Whatever you got, some folk just love their car. Whatever it is, now that's not the best thing, but what he said, take whatever you love and imagine whatever you love, put that in your mind. It needs to be ideally a person. Put that person in your mind. And then imagine the color that you associate with love. Some people may have the color red, like the heart. Some people may have yellow or orange or green or blue or whatever color it is. They say, I want you to imagine that color. And like Jesus said, let your light shine. Imagine that color as a light. And it begins to light up this person. And as you think how much you love this person, if you don't have anybody you love, you need to work on that. If you don't have anybody you love, and that's why a lot of people are really, really kind of messed up. They don't have anybody they love. And when you have somebody you love, it just makes a difference. Whether it's a child or an adult, you need to have somebody you love. And that's why it is good if you feel lonely or alone. That's why all of the psychological experts say, get you a pet. That pet works. Get you a pet. I have a cat. That cat loves me to death. It really does. That cat, in my prayer, the cat, because I'm sitting in my chair, the cat comes over and lays on my feet and keeps my feet warm. So she warm, because my feet warm the cat, and the cat warm me. Now, some of y'all, I'm scared of a cat. The cat fine. You get what worked for you. Now, for some of you all, it may be your baby, and you're laying up with your baby. Whatever it is, you get what works for you. But think about that thing that you love and the light that surrounds it. And you take these first 2.5 minutes thinking about the person or the thing that you love and the light that you have chosen as your color representation of love. And you let that envelop the room where you are. You just see this light just envelop the room. And then it moves beyond your room to your neighborhood. Covers the whole neighborhood. You know some folk in your neighborhood need love? Y'all know that? Some folk in your neighborhood need love, and when you pray and when you send this love forth, it makes a difference. They'll be able to feel it. Then you let the light leave your neighborhood and you let it go and go over the whole city. And then it moves beyond the city, and you imagine your state on the map, and it goes over the whole state, and your state is glowing the color of your love. And then it goes beyond the state, and it goes over the whole nation. And you see the whole nation glowing with the color of your love. And then it leaves the nation, and you imagine around the globe of the earth, and the color of your love envelops the whole world. And you become in the mind of Christ, who came to save the world. You send your love all over the world. It changes you. It changes your heart rhythm, the very rate and the type of beat that you have. When your body is infused with love, it doesn't just change the world. The first person it changes is you. My cat can even feel it, because if you're sitting there at the feet of something just oozing love, you can't help but to feel it. But you've got to learn how to love and how to have compassion. And see, once you start having this compassion, it changes the way you see other folk. This world so much has us that we see so many people as threats. And then we see them as threats in our job and out in the world. You walk around with fear. When you have compassion, you don't see people as threats. You understand. And then you start forgiving them. You just don't see them the same. When you feel love and judgment just can't almost be in the same, can't be in the same vibe. When you really have compassion and you feel for other people, you don't see the mistakes they make. You begin to understand the mistakes they make. Because you do the same thing. We have different reasons. He gave the example of how he was walking in a city and a lady in front of him was eating some Oreos, and she dropped the paper on the ground, and the city downtown was real clean. It just upset him. This lady's going to litter and put this wrapper, this cookie wrapper, right down on the ground. He ran up and picked up the wrapper, then walked in front of the lady and put the wrapper in the trash can and then stared at her. As if to say, you don't have any better manners than to drop this paper on this ground in the middle of this clean city. And when he stared at the lady, he said the lady just broke down in tears. Had the Oreo cookie crumble just coming down up, and she just crying. And he said, well, you just don't understand. You just looking at me just all judging me and then moaning. My boyfriend, we've been dating all these years. He dumped me this morning. And all I wanted was these Oreos. And when that happened, he understood and he had compassion. See, when we drop something on the ground, it's an accident. When somebody else drops something on the ground, their character is bad. We view our actions different and be the same thing. It'd be an identical thing. When we do it, we got an excuse why we did it. When someone else, they doing it because they like this. So when you have compassion, you begin to see other people in a different light. Second thing of the 6 he said is this, gratitude. And he said gratitude, or just being thankful, that's what that means. Gratitude has the strongest link with well-being than any other character trait. Just being thankful. It makes a difference when you're just thankful for everything. That's why I say even looking at the pandemic. Well, how can I be thankful for the pandemic? Thankful that it wasn't like it was 100 years ago. Thankful there's only 10% of the people who died in this one that died 100 years ago. See, there's a way of looking at this thing where you're now thankful and two people can see the same thing. One curses it and one is thankful. And which one's spirit do you think is going to be lighter? Which one do you think is going to be healthier and not going to have disease racking through their body? Which one? It's the one who can see the beauty, and it's the one who can be grateful for everything God has put into the earth. So when you have gratitude, and he said there are 3 basic areas you need to be thankful for in your prayer. All this don't you take 2.5 minutes for each one. You need to be thankful for your personal life. Just be thankful if you just had a glass of orange juice that morning. Be thankful for that glass of orange. If you have a warm chair to sit in, just be thankful. If you're behind, some folk got hemorrhoids. If you can just sit down and pray without anything hurt, do you know that's a blessing? Now, see, I hadn't even thought of that for some reason till right now. I've never had hemorrhoids. But do you know if you've had hemorrhoids, you have a problem sitting down. You got to get you one of them donut pillows and all that. Some of y'all, all of y'all right now sitting down and you don't have a donut pillow on. Be thankful just that you can even sit down and pray. So there are so many things that you can be thankful for when you view and when you so just in your personal world. Then in your work world. You hear so many people just fussing about their job. But be thankful for stuff that's in your work world. And when you start appreciating the stuff, and so you can find the good and the bad. Find the good and be thankful for it. Focus on the good. So your personal life, your work world, and then be thankful for yourself. Oftentimes we have, and it's a difference between pride and just when you have self-confidence and when you have self-love. That's why when Jesus said, love thy neighbor as yourself, you can't love your neighbor if you don't have love yourself. If you got self-hate, how are you going to love your neighbor? How are you going to love other folks? You don't love yourself. So I want you to just think about some of the things that are just good. See, and you think about the things that are really good about you. the things that you've really done right. Not all the stuff we beat ourselves over the head too much about the stuff we done wrong, but what have you done right? Think about all the good stuff. I got up this morning, ran 4 miles. Oh, I felt good. I made it through the Lord's thank you. Ooh, I did good this morning. Sure did. So you think about the good stuff you've done. You have gratitude for self, gratitude for work, and gratitude for the stuff that's in your personal life. And when you can do those kind of things, it just changes. Your gratitude for your hair, a lot of stuff. Whole bunch of stuff. Just if you're bald headed, gratitude for some smooth skin. Just be thankful for what you got. It makes a difference. The third thing, forgiveness. And this is a major thing that you've heard before. And forgiveness has such a power that is so scientifically validated and documented. It's not just in the Lord's Prayer that I talked about last. It's just powerful. I had a situation yesterday where I had to forgive with a refrigerator. I said, Pastor, how in the world can you forgive a refrigerator? Well, we bought this refrigerator a few years ago. Actually, it's been about 3 years ago. High-end refrigerator. And I went over to my brother's house, Bernard. He invited, house he used to live in, he just got through remodeling. He said, I want you to come see this house. So I went over there a couple of days ago, walked into the house, and there he had upstairs this gray slate marble pool table. He said, you remember that? I said, I sure do. He says, the pool table I gave you all for your wedding gift. He said, this pool table is 35 years old. I just had the felt replaced, and the folks said they don't make them like this anymore. Solid slate under the bottom. Anyway, super nice pool table. He was showing me around the house, got to the kitchen, and there's this refrigerator. And this refrigerator got this glass on the side. It's a double door, and when you tap the glass 2 times, the light comes on and the glass clears up. And you can see everything else on the inside of the refrigerator. I said, whoa, and then you open the door. It's got a door here where you put all your liquids right there. You open it up in the big refrigerator. I said, this is the nicest refrigerator I have ever seen. And we had just ordered a refrigerator because our refrigerator burned out. This is the refrigerator that's still pretty new. We bought this refrigerator. When it was still under warranty, the thing blew out, and we found out the company knew the refrigerator had a problem. They knew it had a problem. They wouldn't have fixed it. They just gave us all kind of runaround. The repairman that they sent out just didn't have do it. It was just, so we're not going to ever buy another refrigerator from this company ever again. We're not going to buy anything else from this company. They just did us wrong. Well, when I saw his refrigerator, it's the same brand as that refrigerator we got that's not working. And see, we'd ordered a new refrigerator, but you all know right now because of the supply chain issues, you can't get a refrigerator. It takes 2 or 3 months to get it. So we had another month for our refrigerator. So we got no refrigerator. So I'm looking at this thing. I said, this is the refrigerator I want. So I said, look, let's cancel the refrigerator we done ordered and order this one. What brand is that? It's the same brand. Oh, we don't want to. No. I said, look, we had to just forgive that company. I had to forgive a refrigerator company. I said, I'm not going to carry this bad experience of this refrigerator the rest of my life and never buy anything. I got to let this stuff go. I had to forgive that refrigerator. So we got a refrigerator on the way right now that's the same brand as the refrigerator we got now that they did us wrong with that's not working. You got to let some of this stuff go. And and sometimes you got to realize God will just put a trial in your life just to teach you. Because the reason I bought the refrigerator in the first place, I looked through Consumer Report, it was a top-rated refrigerator. So it wasn't, we just had a bad apple in a bad circumstance, and who knows, the very person who answered our call that day and handled our stuff, maybe they were going through something. And because they were going through something, they just didn't handle us with the hoop because they were going through something. And it had nothing to do with us. It may have been they just been going through something, or it may have been God orchestrating. I'm going to teach you, don't even hold anything negative with a refrigerator company. So I had to forgive and I had to let that go. And this is the exercise that he gives you on forgiveness. Choose someone who did something to you or something unpleasant that's very, very small. Very, very small. You in a restaurant, you order some your water with no ice, and they brought you water with ice. Small. Choose something that's small, because he said forgiveness is a muscle. And you got to start small, forgiving things small. And as you begin to forgive small things, your ability to forgive medium-sized things will come. And then your ability to give big things will come. And as you do this every morning where you forgive and you cleanse your soul of all of this unforgiveness, eventually it becomes automatic. And you don't even store the stuff in your soul. So you begin small and you begin to build your forgiveness muscle. And he said, once you get your forgiveness muscle built, you become what he calls unmess-wittable. Folk can't mess with you because your forgiveness muscle is so strong. You are now unmess-wittable. And no matter what they do, they just can't mess with you. The next thing is future dreaming. Hope is the belief that your future will be better than your present. And as you are praying, you do what's called future dreaming. You see your future and you realize that your future is going to be better than your present. You remember I told you when I was riding my motorcycle years ago and I'm deep in some other state and I hear God speak, you're near at the halfway point of your life and your second half is going to be better and more fulfilled than your first half. That's future dreaming. So as God spoke to me, what's coming is better than what is right now. Because if you think what's coming is worse, that ain't no good future. That's not hope, that's dread. So you have to get in your mind future dreaming, that which is coming in the future is going to be better than that which is here in the present. And that's the way I think that right now I'm planning on going. You all know that I walked for this past July and part of August. My son and I, we walked the El Camino in Spain, that 500-mile walk. Well, next July, because I'm taking off every July, next July, I'm driving Route 66. I'll be 66 years old. I'm driving Route. I'm looking forward to that thing so much. Ooh, I'm just looking, because first of all, I wasn't looking forward to that 500-mile walk. I'll be honest about that. But I am so looking forward to that drive, and I just got future dreaming about me just driving. It's a little over 3,000-mile drive one way. And James and I, we were at a business retreat a couple of weeks ago, and I was sitting there. I got to talking with this other businessman, and we just got to, and I told him, I'm going to drive Route 66 next year. And he said, I've always wanted to do that. And I told him, well, why don't you? And he thought about it. Mm-hmm. And while I'm sitting there, I hear God speak, offer to let him use your Miata to drive it. And I told him, I said, it's going to sound kind of strange, but I just hear God say to offer to use my Miata to drive Route 6. It's convertible, it's in great shape, drive. And I didn't realize it until later why God told me that. I'm going to drive out there, and he's going to fly out and drive back. So it'll take me 31 days to drive all that distance out there, and I'm going to drive out to L.A., I'm going to drive down Highway 1, just enjoy myself, and then give him the keys and let him drive back. But I'm looking forward to that. It's 6 months away and 8 months away. I'm just looking forward to it. What are you looking forward to? You need to have some goal, something in the future with future dreaming that you are looking forward to. It makes a real big difference. The next thing he said is this. Imagine your perfect day. Imagine your perfect day. And imagine that day, because you need to do your prayer first thing in the morning. Imagine that day with incredible segments of perfect day. If you're going to have a cup of coffee for breakfast, imagine that cup of coffee being just a perfect cup of coffee. It's like my mother when she eats. Now, I don't quite eat what she is, but my mama, she loved that bacon, and she will imagine her with that bacon and eggs and grits, and she will imagine her stuff going to be just delicious, and it's just going to be perfect. If you got to go to lunch that day, imagine you're going to have the best lunch in the world. And see, when you have imagined this stuff, even if something goes different than what you thought or wanted, you'll be able to still see because you have imagined, and you'll be surprised what you put in your mind, how strongly that thing has a tendency to manifest. If you imagine when I see my baby today, woo, woo, she gonna be looking good. If you imagine that, even if her hair all up and roller, she got on this gown, all this, no matter what, when it's what you see, she will look so phenomenal to you because you have already set it in your mind that she's gonna be phenomenal. So this is the way you imagine your perfect day that's going to be super. And finally, number 6, you imagine being blessed. He put it like this. He says, I imagine me doing a fist bump with God. I imagine me doing a fist bump with God. That God is going to bless me, that he will protect me, that he will empower me, that God will surround me. And I imagine myself doing a fist bump with God. So it is these 6 things that as you pray, if you put these 6 things in your mind and go through the process of compassion and then gratitude and forgiveness and then future dreaming, having a perfect day, and being blessed by God. When you go through these 6 things, it changes. You've now covered most of the stuff of life, and you've cleansed your soul. And you walk out with expectation, or what's called hope and faith. Because you believe now you're going to have a phenomenal day. And when you believe you're going to have a phenomenal day, you'll be surprised the probability of that thing happening, regardless of what else happening to everybody else. Your day is phenomenal. Regardless of what everybody else's day, what everybody else's day got to do with yours. So when you set your mind to this and cleanse your mind of all this stuff is on the news. Get your mind out of the blues of the news. And then you begin to see life in a whole different. I had to deal, we had 2 nights ago, some people went through the neighborhood breaking in cars. And they went through my son's car. Didn't break anything, but they went in there and just pulled everything out and went through, rifled through everything. You got to forgive them folks. Lord, I forgive them. Forgive them. Lord, I hope they find their path. Lord, bless them to find good jobs. Instead of, Lord, if I could have caught them rats, I'd have shot all of them. No. You change your vibration to compassion. They didn't have the advantage you had. They didn't have the upbringing you had. They may not have had a mother and father in the home. You don't know what they went through. So when you start having compassion, it changes how you relate, and it changes how you judge. So just go through these 6 things. It's an ultimate prayer hack that will take you to a higher level in God. And it's what Jesus would want you to do. Remember, you're going to need to watch this at least 3 times to get this into your spirit, but I guarantee it will change your prayer life. Message number 59933 on brothersoftheword.com. Thank you for joining us today at Brothers of the Word, because, brother, you need the Word. From Brothers of